that whatever he's trying to express, he will express most strongly, and the message will come across to you very clearly. So, with those words, welcoming Dr. Vikram Singh to DTRTI Lucknow for this session on leadership and integrity in the course on management and soft skills. Uh, I would request Dr. Vikram Singh to kindly begin his session. Sir.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm overwhelmed by the very kind introduction given by you. I certainly do not deserve these accolades, but they have a saying, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. You're very magnanimous, sir. Coming to DTRTI is not a journey for me, sir. It is a pilgrimage. It's a pilgrimage because I find the vibrant atmosphere, the positivity that there is, and the element of purity, the spiritual content that DTRTI has, is indeed so amazing. The wonderful people that they are at the helm of affairs, including you, sir. And I'm given to understand that Mr. Vinod K. Tiwari, sir, would be speaking on spirituality or has already spoken on that. Dr. Abha Dikshit, Mr. Ketan Gawan, Mr. Arvind Mishra ji, sir, Dr. Sonal Gupta ji, and Mr. Patanjali Jha ji. It is so refreshing to know that indeed such things are now contemporary and worthy of being discussed in such a platform so that our officers are enriched. May I submit that if 30 years ago we talked of spirituality in administration, people would have said, you require psychiatric intervention. Nobody talked of spirituality. But today it is imperative. One of the most noted psychologists in the world, Carl C. Jung, spelled as Jung, said that in 50 years of my psychiatric practice, I have not encountered a single case where a person was deeply into spiritual practices and faith required the services of a professional psychoanalyst. So this is the strength and the depth and the anchorage that spirituality provides. I'm so happy that you are working on your leadership skills, interpersonal skills, because they're so relevant. I remember going to your offices as a youngster at the age of 24, 25. I remember going to your offices as a senior citizen. What a sea positive change, a burst of positive energy comes when I go visit your offices now. 40 years ago, I'm sorry, I will not be able to say this and give you the same compliment. There was so much common between police stations and your offices 40 years ago. And happily, that comparison ends. And this is where the comparison ends. All of you men and women are men of highest integrity and capability. But yes, change is such. The old order changeth, giving rise to new. The old order changeth, giving rise to new. And one who does not address change becomes irrelevant. Time and change are unsparing. And before we have the Rip Van Winkle syndrome and become dinosaurs in the shifting sands of time, let us adapt change. Let us accept change and let us address change and take change by the forehand. But for that, we have to have leadership skills. The leadership skills will have to be honed like any muscle, like any attribute that has to be worked upon and invested upon. Leadership also has to be worked upon. Gone are the days when one training, when we were inducted into service, was sufficient to give us all the rudiments of the service. I had a DGP by the name of Mr. T.P. Bhalla, IP, and he used to say, Upar Allah, Niche Bhalla. There was another gentleman, very illustrious, of course, Mr. T.N. Kaul, ICS, who was the Foreign Secretary. And when the Indian Foreign Service probationers went to his office, there are only three things that you require to learn in diplomacy: protocol, alcohol, and T.N. Kaul. I'm happy that these are things of the past, because you have to be a lifelong learner even to survive in the services, because knowledge is instant global advantage. Without updating our skills, by the time your session is over, more than 10,000 papers relevant to your profession would be out in various scientific and important journals. And not to update yourself on a regular basis on what is the latest. And I will give you example: artificial intelligence, big data analytics, face recognition softwares, and other such attributes, IT-enabled applications, I think we will all be absolutely irrelevant. And let me tell you, it is perfectly doable. It is perfectly doable to equip yourself. You don't have to be an electronics engineer. You just have to have an open mind and attend sessions like these, and you will be an expert in artificial intelligence, big data analytics, robotics, drone technology, face recognition software, and everything. If you could possibly change the slides at every 1 minute, and I will try to keep pace, but PPT is not important. What is important that I interact with you. We will first discuss the various aspects of leadership. Here you have Napoleon and the international best practices, the military style of leadership. And the military general has to be a hard exterior, but professionally so competent that he can teach the job of a horseman, a cavalryman, an infantry charger, and anybody better than anybody in the forces. So if I have to be a leader that is worthy of respect, I have to be better than the best who are working with me. Then we come to the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, the servant leadership. The colonial leadership days are over. The father of the nation was known for his leadership qualities, because I could go on. One lecture would not be sufficient even to speak about the Gandhian philosophy. But yes, the servant leadership. Abraham Lincoln, an administrator with a big heart. And once Abraham Lincoln was asked about a PA, he was a man extremely kind. He said, I don't like his face. President Lincoln, how can you even say a thing like that? Mark my words, President said, anyone above the age of 40 gets a face that he deserves. Anyone above 40 gets a face that he or she deserves. By face, I would mean you and I have been trained to see and assess people about their demeanor, about their background. You and I, as senior government servants, assess people. If somebody were to enter your office, please go back to the news and see government servant wearing Rolex watches, Gucci belts, Marc Vuitton accessories, Gucci shoes. Well, the face is not just this part. Face is also my attire. And if the attire of a public servant is replete with status symbols, with exclusive brand, the like of which that a person is wearing something around 10 lakhs on his body, what impression will anybody have of that government servant? Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, तुम मुझे खून दो, मैं तुम्हें आजादी दूंगा. तुम मुझे खून दो, मैं तुम्हें आजादी दूंगा. और आज के हमारे लोग क्या कहते हैं? तुम मुझे वोट दो, खून तो मैं ले ही लूंगा. The father, mother, and guru rolled into one. That was Netaji. A deep spiritual content. What is common except Napoleon? That everybody had a deep spiritual content. Napoleon, after all, became spiritual when he was imprisoned in St. Helena after the Battle of Waterloo. But all the leaders I mentioned before you. Next, please. You see, these 2 or 3 slides will tell you how things are changing so fast. Things are moving so fast that we literally have to run just to stay still. Yesterday, natural resources defined power. Today, knowledge is power. Knowledge is instant global advantage. Yesterday, hierarchy was the model. Today, synergy is the mandate. Yesterday, leaders commanded and controlled. Today, leaders empower and coach. Yesterday, leaders were warriors. Today, leaders are facilitators. Yesterday, leaders demanded respect. Today, leaders encourage self-respect. Yesterday, the administration was conducted through expediency, that the ends justified the result. Today, administration are run with integrity. Yesterday, value was extra. Today, value is everything. Therefore, anything that does not have a spiritual content in it, the basis of ethics in it, is absolutely irrelevant. I'll come to that later, of course, when we talk of integrity also. But the leadership has to be ethical. The leadership has to be moral. The leadership has to have the qualitative and the quantitative aspects of knowledge. Today, if I have to have the respect of my colleagues, my being senior or putting in more years of service is not adequate reason for my junior colleague to respect me. I have to be qualitatively and generation ahead of him or her in respect of my professional competence. The changes, look at the observations here. The IT-enabled services have changed administration to a very great extent. They have brought about transparency. Your mobile phone, your smartphone has more computing power than what the IBM 360 had and the mainframe computers. So the conclusion is very clear: survival of the wisest. It does not necessarily have to be survival of the senior most, survival of the foreign educated, survival of the wisest. And knowledge will continue to be an instant global advantage. Never will seniority catapult us into authority, but our seniority in knowledge and learning will catapult us to power. The people will not expect. I'll give you a small example of the police department, that our weaponry, our technologies, our standard operating procedures did not change for the last 150 years. But then came the era of highly educated, trained and motivated criminals like the terrorists, the financial criminals, the cyber criminals. The police department had to put their act together and give a befitting reply. And for that, the technology came. Otherwise, the technology with the police department also had not changed in 150 years. What was the technology? A battered Jeep, a Second World War vintage wireless set, 303 rifles. And what you have in the police stations was the indigenous lie detector. And when I say the lie detector, it was not narco analysis or polygraph test machines. Lathi, the Thanedar Danda, that was the indigenous lie detector. That was all the technology. But today, when you go to the STF office, ATS office, you see IT-enabled tools to investigate. You see facial recognition software. You have narco and polygraph tests. You have a vast array of forensics, ballistics, and medical legal machinery, implements, chemicals, spectroscopic analyses to give you the topmost results in a matter of minutes. This is where knowledge scores. Knowledge is power. And knowledge is power because you have to have the database, and who know it better than you in the revenue services? The expectation from you is much higher. Our Honorable Prime Minister speaks. Our Honorable Prime Minister speaks very much about your service, because you are the oxygen to the department, to the nation. You are the oxygen to development. You're the oxygen for Corona warriors. You're the oxygen indeed if we have to give a befitting fight to our hostile neighbors. Without your positive inputs, nothing is possible. And the knowledge that you have would be an essential ingredient of your good leadership, your excellent qualities of head and heart. Coming to knowledge, it is not something that is new. Our religious books have told us what knowledge is. Nahi gyanen sadirsham pavitra mahi vidyate. Nothing is more sacred than learning. The Holy Quran mentions ilm, that is knowledge, 1100 times second only to the name of Allah the Almighty. So this is the emphasis that is given on learning and inculcation of knowledge. And the basic ingredients of being a good public servant, a good IRS officer, is to be a lifelong learner. This is the basic qualification of being a lifelong learner. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next. Time is less. We have to go faster. Now, yes. Next, please. Next. You see, all of us have tremendous talent, but something happens in us when we join the services. We have to clear the departmentals, and when we clear the departmentals, we get a seniority. I think that is the time when we decide no point in acquiring extra skills and extra knowledge. And it goes on a programmed schedule. It goes on a programmed schedule. Go to bed, get up, get dressed for the office, be in the office, come back, slump in your couch, see the television, see Netflix, see whatever is on the TV, and become a passive viewer of whatever garbage the TV has to give to you and me. Getting extra skills, extra knowledge, and investment in ourselves is too big a task. But let me tell you, unless you are prepared to drench yourself in sweat on a daily basis, you are just not cut for the top position. I will repeat, unless you prepare yourself to drench yourself in sweat, you are not cut for the type of, because doing just enough, doing just adequate will take you to a mediocrity level. And what is the sin word today? Mediocrity. When I passed class 10, I got, I think, 62 or 63% marks. And my father distributed sweets to the entire village. Bete ki first division aa gayi. My name was written in brass blackboard of the principal. First divisioners, distinction holders. Today at 62 or 63%, I don't give much emphasis, but at 62, 63%, the parents will go into a fit of depression. कि करें क्या अब लड़के का 62% पे तो अब दाखला भी नहीं होगा कहीं. Likewise, to invest yourself in leadership skills is important, that you have to invest yourself. There cannot be any gain. To gain $1 million, you have to make 1 million sacrifices. Your calendar should be packed and full of. No gain without activity, and the activity is choose your activities very carefully. Choose things that work for you. Choose things that will take you further in your life and career, your language, your interpersonal skills, your professional skills, your capabilities as an officer, a new language, new technology, a new app. There is so much that the IT can do in revenue services. It is good to invest in these short courses, the one that you are attending just now. I must compliment you and the DTRTI for giving you this course. And I would also recommend short courses depending upon the potential, the capabilities, and the interest of the respected officers, so that every single officer is a lifelong learner and to the last day. I am a retired officer, but you can see the books behind me. I don't have to read books because my pension does not increase. If I read a book, so be it. If I don't read a book, even then my pension will be the same. But the ground reality is that if I don't read, I atrophy. If I don't read, if I don't excel, I waste away. And to prove your best, if you go to any TV debate, if you go to any seminar or webinar, you have to make a point, and the point has to be fresh, the point has to be relevant, and the point has to be something that appeals to you. If that appeal is not there, if there's not something that is you care for, then rest assured, people become irrelevant and time is very unsparing. Survival of the wisest. Survival of the wisest. And when I say the wisest, wise means a good leader, and a good leader is one who has updated himself in terms of knowledge and technology. Leadership skills, good leaders are born and good leaders are made. Every single person on the planet has the capacity to become a good leader. And yes, there has to be mentoring of people like Mr. Vinod K. Tiwari ji, Mr. Arvind Mishra ji, Dr. Sonal Gupta ji, Mr. Patanjali Jha ji. The mentoring of such vibrant people will convert every person to an outstanding leader. The first thing that we come to, next slide, please. Being determined. How often we started that tomorrow we'll go to the gym. Ask any gym owner and will tell you They earn the profits not from the absolute membership. Every new year, around Christmas time, 25th of December, there is a mass hysteria of people wanting to join gyms. That is where the money comes from. By 31st of December, there is an army of people want to enroll because the new year resolve says, I want to work out, lose 10 kilos and work out and become an ace athlete, an ace fitness freak. And lo and behold, the enthusiasm dies down by 1st of February. And when I say 1st of February, within 31 days, all the enthusiasm dies down. Because that is where the gym owner makes the profit. Application for membership 200. The 200 is the figure is there till the 10th of January. By 15th of January, it is half. And by the last week of January, barely 25 people remain on the rows. And the 1st of February, what was 200 becomes something around 2 dozen, or maybe at best 30 members. That is the profit of the gym. And when I say the gym, it is true for all aspects: reading, learning. When was the last time that we read a book? When was the last time that we made a journal to note down the important and the sumptuous takeaways from any webinar, seminar, or the book that I'm reading? Please think and ponder. This poor country has given you and me so much in life. Not for this, but to serve the people, to serve the nation, and also to serve our loved ones in the family. And when I say leadership, leadership does not merely mean the leadership at the place of work. Leadership also is expected at our residence and at our homes with the loved ones. Leadership will not work, sir. The dictatorial type of leadership never worked earlier also, and today it is just redundant and will be absolutely infirm to try these tactics dictatorial either at home or in the office. George Washington Carver once said, 99% of failures come from people who have the habit of making excuses. In any team, there'll be those who deliver, there are those who talk, and there are those who make excuses. And as a good leader, you have to identify who are the talkers, who are the excuse makers, and who are those who deliver. They say when there is a tough situation, there are those who turn up their noses, make a face and a grimace. There are those who turn up their sleeves and take the challenge and the bull by the horn. And the third category, those who never turn up at all. As a leader, you have to identify in which category are our colleagues, in which category am I, depending upon the fact that if I'm a mature and a good leader, my colleagues will be imparted with the professional brilliance which I have. Rest assured, my junior colleagues are a reflection of my personality and my prowess as a leader. A good leader is bound to have good junior colleagues, and a bad leader is bound to have similar junior colleagues. But it comes at a small price. And what is that price? Growth requires discipline, learning, working harder. Discipline is gained by facing changes, taking risks, and overcoming fear, and running the extra mile. Don't forget the last bullet point: running the extra mile. Mediocrity is a sin today. 62%, 68% do not matter. It is unless you are able to drench yourself in sweat and hard work, nothing will matter. Nothing matters. And I will repeat, I have written it in broad italics. Unless you are willing to drench yourself in your work well beyond the capacity of the average man, you are just not cut for positions at the top. All of you are meant to be top position holders. Had you not been meant for the top position holders, you will not be sitting where you are just now. And therefore, any ideas of complacency, any ideas of unnecessary relaxations, today we have a concept relaxation. I think you and I are professionals. If my work does not relax me, then I think I'm a fish out of water. If my work does not relax me or motivate me or inspire me, I think I need to look elsewhere. But unless you are in love with your work, and I'm sure we have to be in love with our work, digressions, going sideways, going helter and skelter, there is so much that you can do. It has been my proud privilege to interact with the wonderful officers of the DTRTI, hardcore academicians, hardcore people committed to the cause of the nation and serving the poor. Out of the box thinking, this is the hallmark. And if I am able to get even 10% of their ability to think, visualize, I think my job is done. मैं धन्य हो जाऊंगा उस दिन जिस दिन मैं समझूंगा कि मैंने 10% भी DTRTI के ऑफिसर्स का प्राप्त कर लिया है, आत्मसात कर लिया है. Today you have the opportunity of interacting with them face to face or online. Make the most of this opportunity, and let me assure you, guarantee you that there is no looking back. You will be in love with your work. When you are in love with your work, then going to the office is not a chore. You will bounce and go to the office. You love what you are doing, and then you will come out with innovations that will bring glory to you and to the department. This will make you innovate wherever you are. To be world class, to be championship material, to be indeed world class, you have to innovate wherever you are, making things better. The Japanese have a concept of Kaizen and Kaikaku, constant improvement, constant innovation, so that every day we strive, how can we make it faster? How can we do it in a more economical fashion? And how we can make it even more people friendly. With these three corners, with this tripod, if we go ahead, I'm sure there is no looking back and we can go further. And let me assure you, there is always a scope of improvement wherever we are. It is not that it is possible that we can improve only once in 10 years or once. Yes, there can be possibility of daily improvement. And when I say improvement, improvement in respect of office work, improvement in our health, improvement in our diet, what I eat right, my workouts, my interpersonal skills, my command over the language, and the way I conduct myself. Analyze myself. Am I becoming too harsh? Am I loud? Am I unfair? What are the things that I need to work on myself? And these are the things that will make you a good leader. A stainless character, if you could get to the earlier slide, please. We talk of stainless steel, but now we come to an aspect of integrity, which would tell us that character has to be stainless, even if the steel is not there, sitting in a mud house. Even if we have always a choice and choose between right and wrong. We always have a choice.
Sir, please unmute.
Am I unmuted now, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And if there's a glitch, you have to remind me, because I don't look at the cursor. So probably somebody in the control room could have muted me. So I would say that the possibility of making a choice, the good and the not so good, the good and the bad, is always within us. As the Ramcharitmanas says, Sumati Kumati Sabke Ur Rahe Hain. Sumati Kumati Sabke Ur Rahe Hain. And then in today's times, जिसको कहते हैं नहीं है, as they say, that we are living at the top level of Kali Yuga in the most challenging times. And in these challenging times, crime, hedonism, violence, and easy lifestyle, they seem to be tempting one and all. And this is where it comes that sanskars matter. You and I, as public servants, are supposed not to be tempted by frivolous things. We are supposed to have an honorable lifestyle. We are supposed to be frugal, but honorable. We'll talk about that later. But on personal mastery, next slide, please. The books that I read are an extension of my personality. If you're able to see the books behind me, you can have a fair idea of what my mind or how my mind is wired. The books that I read are an extension of my personality. My friends are an extension of my personality. Therefore, read more, learn more. Get fit. Make some physical exercise a daily form of your routine. Become so good in your profession that you become indispensable. And what is that? As a student, as an athlete, as an officer, you want to have a doctorate in rocket fuel, invest 10,000 hours, and you will be at par with the best in the world. But that 10,000 hours, how will you get those 10,000 hours? You have to cut down on your television, cut down on your socializing, cut down on the social media platforms, cut down on Netflix, cut down on television, and you will get your 10,000 hours. It may amount to something around 3 to 4 hours a day, maybe for 3 to 4 years. But within 3 to 4 years, you will be one iconic person for whom everybody will rely on for opinion and advice. That is the difference. Look at yourself. Don't look at Netflix. Don't look at football. They are making millions because they are not looking at you. You are looking at them. Look at yourself. They're taking from you. They're not giving you anything. Avoid unnecessary socializing social media platforms.
Oh, illidia.
Next slide, please. The earlier slide, please. Yes, please. Next, please. Next. Next slide, please. Wonderful. You see, whether at home or in the office, I tell my people to be absolutely upright and honest, and I myself am depraved. I myself am dishonest. Don't expect that my children and my spouse and my junior colleagues will even listen to me 1%. To the contrary, they will be contemptuous towards me because they know that I'm a hypocrite and a dishonest person. I'm dishonest at heart. I'm not true to my word. I'm indisciplined, but yet I expect the highest standards of discipline and integrity from the others. It doesn't work that way. It will never work that way. The surest way, rather than talking, is to be a role model yourself. Make your life a message. Live your truth. Walk your values. Behave your philosophy. That is how you move those around you to play at their best. Next slide, please. Naturally, to improve the workplace, the best of ideas, the best of international practices will have to be incorporated in the day-to-day working. And for that, it is imperative that we have a brainstorming session. And the brainstorming, the junior most to the senior most, it's everybody's job to generate ideas. Next, please. Yes, please. Thank you. Running the extra mile. Mediocrity or doing only what is expected of us to do, then we are not cut for the top jobs. We are cut for the top jobs only when we have the killer instinct, when we run the extra mile. Next, please. Next, please. How high I will go in my life will be determined by how hard I work and how well, I think. And my thinking is governed by the people with whom I associate and the books that I read. So you have a roadmap for your future. How hard the harder I work, the luckier I become. I spell luck not as Luck, but as Work. The harder I work, the luckier I become. Make it a habit to read at least one book a month to begin with. Then you'll realize that on an average, when you're reading 12 books a year, every book that you read increases your intellectual height, even if it is by a millimeter. And over a period of time, you will not be the same person. You will be more well-read, more learned, and indeed a person who is a ready reckoner and a resource person in any institution, in any department. Next, please. Again, I said before, there are no gains without sacrifice. Sacrifice as far as the comfort zone is concerned. One has to leave the comfort zone, and the smallest of action is always better than the boldest of intention. Next, please. Indeed, it comes at a price. Growth requires discipline, learning, and working harder. Next, please. There are two kinds of individuals. One who was good only at the normal times. And the other is who is a battlefield general. Where there is a crisis, send him and forget about it. He will deal with the crisis, because he is one person who says, upon my dead body, I will not return till I have solved the crisis. This is a small example I wanted to place before you, ladies and gentlemen. The value of integrity. Fortune 500 magazine asked CEOs of many multinational companies, the top Fortune 500 companies, which was the single most important attribute that they wanted from their top executives. You could possibly guess a degree from Harvard, an engineer from MIT, maybe a doctor from Oxford or Cambridge. No. Unimpeachable integrity, men and women of steel, men and women of integrity. This is what the topmost priority was. And they were not pujaris or priests. They were top CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. So we can well realize that integrity is cannot be compromised. We spoke of Abraham Lincoln earlier. And Abraham Lincoln, when he was a struggling lawyer, there's a small anecdote about him, that when he was a struggling lawyer, he got a case which would have paid him very well. But Lincoln, when he saw the brief, he returned it. And somebody asked him, Lincoln, why did you return the brief? You could use the money. Unka, yes, it was technically strong, but ethically very weak. And therefore, I did not accept it, because ethically it was very weak. And that is what made Abraham Lincoln what he was, Abraham Lincoln. The integrity of a person is not measured by the status. A dishonest and a dishonorable DGP is far, far inferior to an upright and an honorable and a straightforward constable. I would repeat, a DGP is a rank, but if he is dishonorable and dishonest, he is far inferior to a constable who is honest and honorable and patriotic. Any disagreements on that? And if there are any disagreements, I would love to discuss. Maybe after the session, when we have 5 minutes for discussions, I would love to. I'm sure there wouldn't be any, but if there are any other observations, I would love to listen on that and be educated on that. A person of integrity is a one-man army. I have seen so many things in my life, and I can assure you, the most priceless asset, the steel frame of administration that you and I represent, is founded and has the foundation of men and women of unimpeachable integrity. Integrity does not merely mean not to take bribes. Integrity means an integration of the whole character, that I am not lecherous. Women are safe in my presence. I abide by the reservation policy of the government. I do not have a dislike or contempt towards any segment of society. I take pains to ensure that whatever is assured to the weaker sections of society, that is guaranteed and within my will. During the course of recruitment, during the course of departmental promotion committees, I ensure that the various policies in respect of gender, in respect of the scheduled caste, the scheduled tribe, and other categories are given appropriate and due respect and consideration. I belong to everyone and everyone belongs to me. There are no finances involved. But yes, financial probity along with intellectual honesty. Intellectual honesty is as important as financial honesty. I do hope that you are getting. I give you the example of Chaudhary Charan Singh. Somebody said to Chaudhary Charan Singh, he said, this individual is very meritorious, very learned, and deserves to be in the cabinet. Unka, no, he does not have a good rapport with his spouse. Just but what has got to do with the administration? What has got to do with being a minister in the cabinet? You know what Chaudhary Charan Singh said? जो अपनी पत्नी का न हुआ वो देश का समाज का क्या होगा? जो अपनी पत्नी का न हुआ वो देश और समाज का क्या होगा? Words of profound wisdom. This is what integrity is about. Being financially honest is indeed very important, but being intellectually honest is even more important. Being gender sensitive is as important a part of integrity. Having respect for all the castes and communities, especially those belonging to the weaker section, is as much a part of integrity as anything else. And integrity begins at home. We have to be honest at home. There cannot be double standards for our children and for our spouse and separate standards for me. You are the first servant. You are a first servant. I'm the first servant of the people who I'm supposed to serve. I'm their first servant. I'm the first servant of my spouse and my children. I'm the first servant, even if I'm the head of office, head of department, director general of the largest police force in the world. Yet I have this tremendous satisfaction of being their first servant. The first servant has to be something in the heart. I don't have to touch anyone, I don't have to say, but my body language says it all. That if there is any infirmity, it is on me. If there is any difficulty, it will impact me first. If there is anything that is required to be done, the hard task, that will be done by me. If there's any credit, it will go to my junior colleagues. Next, please. Non-situational integrity or integrity. There's a new concept that where there's an opportunity of corruption, I become corrupt. When there is no opportunity of corruption, I become honest. This is known as situational integrity and an oxymoron. The fact of the matter is that a person who is honest will always be honest, opportunities or no opportunities. And if the concept of integrity is governed by the fact that whether there are avenues of corruption or not, then that is not integrity, that is opportunism with a capital O. Any disagreements on that? Thank you. You see the 3 or 4 words written here. We have reading, writing, and arithmetic. But if it is without responsibility, as a leader, all of you are leaders, but it has to come with responsibility. Responsibility for taking responsibility, ownership, holding yourself accountable, giving credit where it is due, and giving a subculture and an ecosystem of pain, sacrifice, and effort. No organization or individual becomes great without the triad of pain, sacrifice, and effort. All these must be incorporated into our personality and into the work culture of the organization. Next, please. But obviously, it doesn't come free, of course, it comes at a price. And the price is higher personal and professional standards, putting more time and effort into everything that I do. It means taking calculated risks. What we have talked, I could sum up in 4 bullet points. Good leadership is all about sound professional competence, that you are the best in your trade, in your technology, and your knowledge of rules and regulations and SOPs. Unbiased conduct. You belong to everyone and everyone belongs to you. Action flexibility, because there can be no cut and dried solutions to any problems. You have the option to maneuver and give offhand solutions to sticky situations, because your seniors may not be there at the spot to guide you. Therefore, action flexibility. Social sensitivity. You're sensitive towards the requirement of all gender issues, to those who are physically challenged, the Divyangs, to the weaker sections of society. And last but not the least, unimpeachable integrity. These encompass the aspects of good leadership. You have got to love the people more than your position. Positions come and positions go. Do we love a position when we have to treat our children or treat our spouse? No, because we love them so much that we can sacrifice ourselves. Give the supreme sacrifice if it comes for our loved ones, and likewise with our junior colleagues. Next, please. Having a servant's heart. We discussed about Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation. We discussed Subhash Chandra Bose, the true example of servant leadership, the true example that everybody's interest comes from. The Chetwood Hall of Indian Military Academy says, the safety, honor, and welfare of your country come first, always and every time. The safety, honor, and welfare of the men whom you command come next. Your personal safety, honor, and welfare come last, always and every time. This is what is known as servanthood. Next, please. You put others ahead of your agenda. You, only a servant leader, will have the confidence to give the power to others. One who are autocratic, who work and administer through arrogance, will never have the capacity, will never have the willingness or the desire even to put others ahead of their agenda. They keep themselves all the authority, will never delegate, will never decentralize. Next, please. Next. Next. Initiate service to others. Why? I could initiate service to myself. No. It's only a servant leader who will initiate service to others. Next, please. Is not position conscious. He will never flaunt himself. Like there are those who have nothing to boast about, and look at how they introduce themselves. I am Vikram Singh, BA, and I have a car. This is the introduction of an inferior man. You'll just say, I am Vikram Singh, that is about all. Serves out of love. He does not expect a thing from anyone. Next, please. This is the very important axiom, not from any padri or any priest or any panditji, but from Field Marshal Montgomery. The spiritual content in administration, the spiritual content of leadership. In the end, the battle is won not by the person who is the strongest, but by him who has a higher spiritual content. Next, please. Next. 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 You see, this is the important slide where we find that we government servants, and also at many levels, find that we are giving undue importance to braggarts, clowns, and celebrities as role models. Our role models cannot be film stars. Our role models, nothing bad, I don't criticize anyone. But our role models are not tycoons. Our role models cannot be film stars. Our role models have been people of learning, people of spiritual depth, people of service. Bharat Ratna APJ Abdul Kalam Sahab. Industrialists who have spiritual content, Ratan Tata, Narayan Murthy, Mother Teresa. But the premium that society holds on glamour quotient, that is what is something that needs to be addressed. Again, focus on what is right, not what is fashionable. We have to focus on what is right, not what is fashionable. Next, please. Ladies and gentlemen, you and I have been truly blessed that this poor country has given an opportunity to serve Bharat Mata, to serve the poor people who are our Annadata, who are our real masters, Daridra Narayan. This passion and this opportunity is not there with most of Indians, but we have been blessed to have had this. I had this opportunity, I still have, and you are having this opportunity. Please make the most of it, and your job can become that of a Karma Yogi, and I will tell you how. The 4 ingredients of being a Karma Yogi is treat, next please, treat your work of the first ingredient is Anushasan, that is discipline. Next. Second is righteousness. Satyam Vada, Dharmam Chara. Being financially upright, being morally upright, being traditionally upright. Sacrifice, service before self, juniors before self, society before self. When these 3 ingredients are completed, then you have an integrated whole and you become a Karma Yogi. And when a Karma Yogi, and I have known this at all levels, when I asked a Karma Yogi constable, a Karma Yogi sub-inspector, Saab, how can I reward you for the outstanding work? You know what the sub-inspector told the DGP or the constable? Sir, please forgive me. Since no translation can do justice to the original, they said in Hindi, Huzur Gustakhi maaf kare, aap inam mujhe nahi de payenge. अरे कैसे उनका इसका इनाम ऊपर वाला मुझे दे रहा है और देता रहेगा और किसी की औकात नहीं है कि मुझे इनाम दे सके. When there is spiritual content in the job that I perform, I have only one master, and that is the Almighty. And when he starts giving the reward, then no other person can give you reward. Mr. Mishra was going that I got gallantry medal after gallantry medal. Gallantry medal, I never tried for one. But God Almighty put me in a position at the right place at the right time that I went on getting gallantry medal after gallantry medal. The path has not been easy. I wish I could invite you to my place of residence in Indira Nagar. I belong to a very well-to-do family. My father gave me an MIG house. That is my only property that I have. I have not accepted any plot of land or any gift from anyone. I have lived like a monk and like a hermit. I have not accepted any gift that is known as aparigrah. That is what you and I are supposed to be, frugal in lifestyle. But let me tell you, I have been very honorable. The highest of politicians, without taking names, are very respectful towards me. Nobody has taken a liberty with me ever, and that is the advantage of being frugal and upright. Nobody can take liberties with you. Whatever grouse they may be talking and criticizing you behind your back. But when they are in front of you, the byproduct is that they praise you to the skies. And when there's a crisis, the crisis can never be resolved without you. This is the advantage of being upright. Last slide, please. Last slide, please. I will just, before this, please. Yoga karmas kaushalam. There's always the best way of doing everything. And yogi is not the one who stands on his head. Of course, he's a yogi too. But to have a connect with the divine, doing your work to the best of your ability is yoga. Yan nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagrata sanyami. When the world sleeps, or those who are in tamas, they are in delusion, the yogi keeps awake. You are all yogis, and it is for you to keep awake. When the world sleeps, you are awake. When the world is in slumber, you keep awake. When the world is into temptation, You are much above temptation, being a lighthouse, not only to your department, not only to your organization, but to all of us, to the nation, and to everyone. All of you have the potential to be a Mahatma Gandhi, a Subhash Chandra Bose, a Mother Teresa. With these words, I wish I had time for interaction, but I don't think I have time for interaction. So may I request Mr. Mishra to share my email ID and my mobile number with the respected officers and the participants. If there are any questions, I would certainly address them, but I would not like to impinge or impact and give you a bad appetite before your lunchtime. Thank you so much for being so patient. God bless you all. Have a wonderful session. Thank you so much for your time.